6 years ago, tragedy struck. One of the world's most wanted criminals, Castor Troy, shot FBI agent Sean Archer at an amusement park. However, the unexpected outcome was that the bullet went through him and hit his son instead. Since then, the fire in Sean's eyes has never faded. He continues working relentlessly on Castor's case, pushing his team to keep going until they finish the investigation. Meanwhile, Castor carefreely plants a bomb in the city center and enjoys himself in plain sight, even flirting with a choir girl. Finally, after all these years, new intel emerges. One of the Troy brothers, Pollux, has purchased 2 tickets for a private jet. One of the passengers turns out to be Castor himself, who instructs his brother and associates to stay away from the city center on the 18th when the explosion is set to happen. He casually flirts with the flight attendant, but when he notices the police outside the window, his carefree attitude vanishes. Meanwhile, the flight attendant turns out to be an undercover FBI agent, but Pollux quickly disables her and Castor shoots her before tossing her out of the plane. A helicopter manages to land on the wing, damaging the flaps. Castor opens fire but is forced to retreat as Sean shoots the engine. Enraged, Castor kills the pilot, loses control, and crashes into a hangar. Pollux is soon arrested, while Castor, wielding his signature pistols, starts a gunfight. However, he soon comes face-to-face with Sean and tries to negotiate with the FBI, offering information about the bomb in exchange for his release. Archer doesn't believe him, and when Castor attempts to escape, he gets caught in a jet engine's air current, is slammed into a metal grate, and falls into a coma. After the successful operation, Sean returns home, only to find that his daughter Jamie has changed her style again, leading to her suspension from school. However, Sean finally tells his wife that Castor Troy's case is closed, meaning he can now spend more time with his family. The next day, the department enthusiastically congratulates Sean on his victory, but he raises a rhetorical question, proposing a toast to the 7 agents who lost their lives during the operation. In his office, he officially closes the case. However, news soon breaks about a bomb loaded with nerve gas, capable of destroying everything within a 1-mile radius. Pollux refuses to cooperate, and the higher-ups dismiss Sean's suspicions. Then, one of the agents comes up with an idea. They visit the institute where Castor is being kept in a coma. There, plastic surgeon Malcolm Walsh demonstrates a unique procedure, showing how his colleague received a completely regrown ear. This is just a prelude to a shocking proposal, altering Sean's appearance to make him look like Castor so he can extract the bomb's location from his brother. Sean refuses and attempts to interrogate Castor's associates from the past years. But the only thing he learns is that the explosion is set for the 18th. With no alternatives left, he agrees to the secret operation, unable to inform his family about his drastic transformation. Before leaving, he says goodbye to his wife, recalling the day their son died. When he tells her he needs to finish one last case, she gets upset but doesn't stop him. Then, Sean bids farewell to his daughter and heads to the surgeon. For the operation, he asks the doctor to preserve his scar, the only thing connecting him to his past, and entrusts his wedding ring to a colleague. The surgery is a success, but Sean is furious. He now wears the face of his worst enemy. To calm him down, they administer sedatives and adjust his voice using a microchip implanted in his throat, warning him that any sudden movement, even a sneeze, could ruin everything. Sean, disguised as Castor, is taken by the police to an unknown location. The prison warden immediately asserts that Castor is now his property. None of the inmates know that the prison operates on an electromagnetic system, and special boots track each prisoner's location 24/7. Sean spots Pollux in the crowd and moves toward him, but is intercepted by an old acquaintance, whom he asks to leave him alone. However, another inmate immediately attacks him. To maintain his cover, he plays the role of Castor, brutally beating his opponent, but remembering who he really is, he stops himself. As punishment for fighting, his boots lock him to the floor, and the guards shock him with a stun gun. Meanwhile, the real Castor, now faceless, wakes up in the clinic. Realizing he has lost his identity, he screams in fury. That night, his associates kidnap the surgeon and force him to restore Castor's face. Back in prison, Sean questions Pollux but gets no clear answers. However, after some time, he learns that the bomb is planted in the Los Angeles Convention Center. That same day, the authorities inform him of a visitor. Sean hopes it's an agent, someone he can finally pass the information to and be freed. But when his boots lock him in place and the doors swing open, he comes face to face with himself. It's actually Castor, now wearing Sean's face. Castor immediately admits that he eliminated everyone who performed the operation and took Sean's ring from his partner. When the guards intervene, Sean is subdued while the imposter agent is set free. The fake Sean returns home to his beloved wife, who is still upset with her husband, but his care and attention gradually ease her doubts. Inside the house, he starts reading Sean's journals and eventually finds his daughter's room. He mistakes her name at first, but after noticing it on a pillow, he corrects himself. Taking a pack of cigarettes, he decides it's time for a makeover. Meanwhile, back at the prison, it is revealed that Castor has arranged for Pollock's release in exchange for his testimony. Furious, Sean shouts that the bomb is planted in the convention center and that he is the real Sean, not Castor. But of course, no one believes such an outrageous story. At FBI headquarters, Castor activates the surveillance cameras and visits his brother, soon revealing his new identity. From now on, they will play by new rules. He disarms the bomb just 2 seconds before detonation, instantly making himself invaluable in his new role. Sean watches on television as Castor mocks him, declaring that the rules have changed and the ball is now in his court. The world has turned upside down. A noble FBI agent who dedicated years to serving the country now sits in prison, while an internationally wanted criminal enjoys admiration and respect among FBI colleagues. That evening, Castor prepares a romantic dinner for his wife, Eve, which later continues in the bedroom, while her real husband is forced to start a prison riot. Along with the inmate he fought earlier, he makes an escape attempt, but his companion, caught in the chaos, is killed. Sean manages to break out of prison, only to realize that it is located in the middle of the ocean. Under fire from a helicopter, he is left with no choice but to jump straight into the water. Meanwhile, Castor, still playing the role of a loving husband, begins to raise suspicions in Eve. He has forgotten their late son's birthday. Back at the office, Sean learns that Castor, disguised as him, has escaped, already reached the city, and stolen a car. Sean's first call is to his wife, begging her and their daughter to leave the house immediately, warning that the man pretending to be him is not really her husband. However, she doesn't believe him and hangs up. The second call rings directly in Sean's office. This time, he connects with Castor. Sean heads to Castor's accomplice, Dietrich, who is relaxing in the company of girls. Then Dietrich gives Sean Castor's favorite pistols. Meanwhile, Castor orders his men to abduct Sean from his own house, disabling the security system using the code 1019, the date of his son's death. When asked how he knows the code, he boldly declares that he spent the night with Sean's wife. The gang bursts into laughter, but when Castor adds that he wants to take off Sean's face, an uneasy silence spreads across their faces. In the bathroom, Castor comes face to face with his nemesis. Seeing himself in the mirror, he startles a woman named Sasha Hassler, who thought he was dead. Overcome with emotion, she slaps him across the face. Meanwhile, the fake Sean talks about his plans to eliminate his enemies. However, when he notices through the window that some guy is harassing his daughter, he smashes the glass, knocks the assailant down, and forces him to apologize. When the family returns home, instead of simply bonding with his daughter, the father decides to teach her something more valuable. He gives her a butterfly knife, explaining that she should use it for self-defense. At the same time, Castor wakes up in Sasha's bed and almost shoots her, but her passionate kiss saves the situation. Their moment is soon interrupted by Pollux, who has been watching and immediately informs Sean of his body's location. Castor prepares to leave, but before that, he apologizes to Sasha for the past, sensing a note of bitterness in her words. She then confesses that if he doesn't leave, her son will be taken away. Then she delivers shocking news. The boy is already 5 years old, and he is his son. By this time, the FBI has already taken positions on the rooftop across the street. As Sean embraces Castor's son, memories of his own son, Michael, flash before his eyes, frightening the boy. In the next moment, the FBI opens fire, but Sean manages to take cover. Castor himself leads the raid. In the chaos, Sasha flees with her son, while Dietrich is killed by Castor's bullet. A tense standoff ensues. Both men aim at mirrors, their enemy reflected on the other side. They fire simultaneously, but both narrowly dodge the shots. Noticing the approaching police, Sean is forced to flee to the rooftop, where Pollux is waiting for him. In a fierce fight, Sean throws Pollux off the roof, sending him plummeting into the lobby below, forcing Castor to witness his brother's death. In this dramatic moment, a police officer intervenes, unaware of the situation, and and feeling sympathy for Pollux. However, Castor coldly shoots him in the forehead. The next day, the FBI director summons Castor to reprimand him for the massive financial losses caused by the operation, even threatening to fire him. But with just one menacing glare, Castor makes him clutch his chest in distress. Ensuring there are no witnesses in the office, he coldly declares to his boss that he is Castor Troy and then kills him. He then calmly instructs the secretary to call an ambulance, explaining the situation as a heart attack. Meanwhile, Sean sneaks into his own home. His wife is terrified, but he begs her not to scream, desperately trying to prove that he is the real Sean. He explains that he underwent surgery for a mission, and when Castor woke up from his coma, he took his face. It was painful to realize his own wife didn't believe him. Then he tells her an important detail. He has a rare negative blood type, whereas Castor's is AB. After saying this, he takes a photograph of his son and leaves. That evening, when the fake Sean returns home, he increases security and tells his wife about the death of the FBI director, who supposedly suffered a heart attack. After that, they go to bed. However, once he falls asleep, his wife secretly draws a blood sample for testing. The results confirm Sean's story. She goes to meet him, and he finally proves his identity. She helps him bandage a wound he sustained during the FBI raid. Sean reveals that Castor is now in charge of the bureau. His wife reminds him that the funeral for the director is scheduled for tomorrow, and Castor will be there. At that moment, Castor unexpectedly arrives at the hospital looking for his wife. However, Sean has already disappeared. Castor claims he's there because his wife went missing in the middle of the night and he wants to find her. She reminds him that she's a doctor and can be called at any time. Castor leaves. Meanwhile, Sean, now in disguise, heads to the funeral, promising Sasha that the FBI will no longer trouble her. At the church, a boy from the crowd hands Castor a photograph of Sean's son. Castor crumples it and throws it away. After the ceremony, Sean appears, praying for his son. At that moment, Castor emerges behind him. A brutal shootout begins, in which all of Castor's associates are killed, including Sasha, who dies in his arms. Not realizing she's speaking to an FBI agent, she begs him to take care of her son so that he doesn't grow up to be like them. Sean and Castor face off in their final battle. When Jamie is unsure whom to help, she accidentally misses her target. In the end, she is taken hostage by Castor, but using the butterfly knife her father gave her, she breaks free. Castor escapes, triggering a high-speed chase on the water. He kills police officers and rams Sean's boat, sending him crashing through another vessel. In the final confrontation, they are both thrown onto the shore. Castor beats Sean, but Sean fights back and prepares to shoot him with a harpoon. However, Castor jams the mechanism and, looking into a nearby mirror, deliberately slashes his own face, forcing Sean to see his enemy's reflection one last time. Then Castor lets go of his weapon and dies peacefully. The FBI is already aware that the real Sean has returned. Eve finally kisses her husband. As Sean is taken away in an ambulance, he removes the ring from Castor's dead body. Later, lying on the operating table, he asks the doctors not to restore the scar on his chest. His vengeance is complete. As a moment of happiness approaches, Eve waits for her husband at home. When he appears at the doorstep, his family welcomes him. But he doesn't return alone. Standing beside him is Adam, Sasha's son, whom he has promised to raise as a good man. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.